rock you're climbing, right? So we all will have had moments of flow in our lives. What's really important about flow in relation to attention is this is a power, this is a capacity that all human beings have. And it's a capacity where you can pay attention to something deeply, but it doesn't feel like an effort, right? It's not like studying for an exam where you're like, oh, okay, so Napoleon was born there. Okay, you know, you can pay attention that way, but that's an effort. Flow is like a gusher of attention that is inside all of us that we can pay. So obviously, Mihaly Professor Csikszentmihalyi spent 40 years of his life, more than actually 50 years of his life, studying flow states. How do they happen? How do we maintain them? What ruins them? And he discovered lots of amazing things about it. He discovered that actually flow states are really essential for having a good life, for feeling competent, for good mental health. And he made lots of discoveries, but for me, there were 3 really important things he discovered about how to get into a flow state. Firstly, you have to choose one goal. If you're trying to do lots of things at the same time, you will not get into flow. I can explain why later. That's really important. You have to choose one thing, right? The second thing you have to do is you have to choose a goal that is meaningful to you. If it's not meaningful, you'll never get into flow on it. For me, it would be writing, right? But everyone will have something. And thirdly, you need to choose something that is ideally at the edge of your abilities. So let's say you're a rock climber. Let's say you're a medium talent rock climber, right? If you just clamber over a garden wall, you're not going to get into a state of flow. Equally, if you suddenly try and climb Mount Kilimanjaro, it's going to be overwhelming. You're also not going to get into a state of flow. What you want to do is choose something that's a little bit harder than the time you did last time, right? So flow begins at the edge of your abilities. So you want those 3 things. One clear goal, it's got to be meaningful to you, and it's got to be at the edge of your abilities. If you do that, there's no guarantee, but you massively increase your chance of getting into flow, which is this form of deep, meaningful attention. But Mihaly also made a discovery, he discovered this in the late 80s, that there's something that absolutely consistently ruins flow, which is being interrupted, being distracted, right? It just kills flow dead, which kills the deepest form of attention. And I think we're really living, and Mihaly thought that we're really living with a crisis of flow states now.
What is the harm of interruption? I read in your book about the decay in creativity and the time it takes to get back into the task once you've done it, but is there a more sort of consequential?
So if you want to understand, and this might sound when I first describe it like a small effect, I'm going to explain how big it is afterwards because it doesn't feel big when you're doing it. So I went to interview one of the leading neuroscientists in the world, a man named Professor Earl Miller, who's at MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And Professor Miller said to me, you have to understand one crucial thing about your brain, my brain, everyone's brains. You can only think consciously about one thing at a time. This is just a fundamental limitation of the human brain. Human brain hasn't changed in 40,000 years. It ain't going to change anytime soon. You can only think about one thing at a time.